Hi everybody, Diana Del Garbino with Muscles in Motion, and welcome to Instagram TV. We're going to try this again this month, and hopefully this works out really well. So thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get this ball rolling and we'll get more and more people watching and more questions so we can really hone in on what it is that you are looking for as the client, as the friend of ours, whoever. We want to be able to serve you best. So I got a couple of questions today. The first one is, what are some examples of goals for someone who has been training with us for a year or more? Great question. And the second one is going to be, what is the difference between machines versus free weights? So first I want to talk about setting goals as a member who's been here for over a year. So what I want to start with is what's happening physiologically. So as you guys have probably heard me say before, that when we are around 27 to 32, that's when we're going to have the most muscle tissue naturally on our body. That's when we peak. After that, guess what? We start going downhill. And not at a rapid rate, pretty slowly. We're still, hopefully, still active in our 30s and out playing sports and having a good time and hiking and rafting and whatever it is that you like to do, playing golf, playing tennis, but just being active, physically active. But then as we hit 40, things start to change again. And those of us that are honing in on 50, things will start to change again. And we start losing that muscle tissue a little bit quicker and a little bit quicker. And then once we turn 60, it starts doubling every year. So every decade, when you're over 60, you're losing about 5 pounds of muscle automatically. So the body is just trying to become more efficient as we don't use it. So really what you're training for primarily is to keep as much muscle tissue on you as possible. If you don't have that muscle tissue, which is the active tissue, fat is inactive tissue that waits until you're starving in order for it to be used, but muscle is the active tissue for our bodies that helps us to get up in the morning, to get out of bed, to bend down and pick something up, to play with our kids, to play golf, to river raft, to hike, whatever it is that you do, that's the tissue. And it's also the largest storage area in our bodies for energy. So if we don't have enough storage in our bodies because we're losing it automatically, we're going to have less energy. We're not going to feel as inclined to get out there and do things that we want to do. I went hiking this weekend and it was beautiful, and I felt great that I could do what I wanted to do. Okay? I haven't hiked since last year, but I was able to go out and go hiking because my legs are strong, my lungs are strong, my heart is strong, and I could just go out there and do that. So what are some good examples of goals that you can set? Maybe you want to walk a 5K, or you want to run a 5K, or maybe you want to do a half marathon, or there's a hike that you want to travel to and go to. Maybe it's in Zion, maybe it's in another country. There are, pick something that you know is going to challenge you physically that you want to go do. Maybe you want to go see the pyramids, and you want to go ride a camel, so you want to make sure those legs are strong and you can hold on tightly. Maybe you want to take up golf. Maybe you want to take up tennis, some sort of new sport. Maybe you want to go river rafting with us in July and August. So we want to get you ready for that so you can paddle hard and hold yourself in there with those strong legs. So it's really dependent on what your likes are. But pick something that you like that could be a little bit challenging for you, and then tell your trainer, so that way we can start making sure that that musculature in your body is strong. But overall, I want you thinking that, I'm just keeping myself as healthy as possible with as much muscle tissue for as long as possible. So that way, when we're done with this life and that muscle tissue's gone, we're done. We don't have to suffer through too many medications and feeling feeble and feeling like, oh, I just can't do things. We want to be as strong as possible. Today is the youngest day that you're going to have. This is the youngest that you're going to be, and it's the oldest that you're going to be today until tomorrow. Then tomorrow is going to be the oldest and youngest you're ever going to be. So we're never going backwards, but we can definitely slow down that process of losing muscle. So there's some ideas for some goals for you. The next one is, what's the difference between machines versus free weights? All right, so you notice that around here we have machines, we have free weights. We have some really awesome black iron free weights. We have barbells. We have bands. We try to utilize everything dependent on what your goals are, what your ability is, and sometimes even what you like to do. But if you'll notice, the primary are machines, and there's good reason for that. Nautilus created a cam that looks like a shell, which creates tension throughout the full range of motion. So on our pullover, you can have tension way back here and have tension all the way down. When you're working with a free weight, you're only going to get tension when it's the farthest away from the body. So the closer that it gets in, the lighter it gets, and at the bottom it gets really light. So you're really only getting tension in a couple of different, maybe one position, maybe two at the most. But on the machines, we can create tension to make the whole range of motion as strong as possible and keep tension under load longer and safer. That's going to protect your joints, whether it's the knee joints, the hip joints, the shoulders, elbows, etc. And that's one of the primary reasons. Also, there's a very stable platform that you're going to be working on. And the research shows that the more stable you are in that platform, the more force you'll be able to generate. So I know you'll see lots of stars doing bench press or something on a stability ball, but they're never going to be as strong as they could be because the platform that they're on is so unstable that they will never get to be as strong as possible with that because they have to account for the instability on there. Whereas if you're doing a bench press on a Nautilus machine or a pendulum or even on the bench with weights, you have a stable background to create more force, which then is going to create more muscle fibers recruited, which is going to make you stronger. That doesn't mean that we don't use all of that. We want you to have lots of mobility. We want you to have lots of stability. We also want you to have variety. Sometimes it's just fun to use the free weights as a finisher. Maybe we're working on a different range of motion that you need a little bit more strength in. So that's where we're going to make sure that we find what works best for you. The second thing with machines versus the free weights is the time efficiency. A lot of our stuff is selectorized. We can set that up and take you from one machine to the next as quickly as possible. So that way we keep your heart rate up, we keep you breathing hard, we keep everything in motion for a lot longer, hence muscles in motion. So those are the reasons that we have the machines, but that's also why we have the free weights, so we can give you a little variety. So I hope this was helpful, and I really love your comments and your questions. And to answer one more question, we had one more fun one on there for our friend Scott E. Yes, you are funny. Not as funny as me, but you're funny. We got jokes. So thanks again for joining us today for Instagram TV, and we'll see you at the end of the month in June.